Welcome back. It's Kovacs, and we're going to take a look at probably one of the most anticipated books of the year. Scott Snyder and Jock on Absolute Batman issue 15. Yes, Nick Dragotta has taken some time off, and Jock is filling in for this Absolute Joker origin story. And that's fine by me because I absolutely love Jock, one of my favorite artists. Now, there is a lot riding on this book. Over 300,000 estimated pre-orders. There's a lot of eyes on it. It's got a lot of hype to live up to. And boy, has there been hype like I've never seen in recent times over a book. Well, of course, it's because it's the Absolute Joker origin story, right? Wouldn't you be excited? Well, I was. And here it is. So I'm going to go through it page by page, which means I'm going to give you my thoughts. And there's going to be a ton of spoilers. So do read it first if you don't want it spoiled. Like the video if you can. And if you've got time, just hit that subscribe button. You know what? It would mean so much to me, and I'd really appreciate it. So here we go. We do have Nick Dragotta on the cover here with his version of the Absolute Joker. Let's get this out of the way. Let's discuss it. Do I like it? No. It's not my favorite version of the Joker. Not by a long way. I am very much more a traditionalist when it comes to how the Joker should look. Sort of Killing Joke-esque would be my favorite. But this is a horror book. And that's exactly what Scott Snyder's doing with all the characters. He's turning them into these grotesque, horrific sort of renditions of what we would normally expect from a book. He is flipping it upside down. And that's fine. It fits the brand of this book. And it really does suit, I guess, everything else that's come before it. Now, once we've got into the story, you're going to find out just how horrific this Joker is. He has a terrible past. So let's see. We start off with Alfred, okay? Now, he narrates this entire issue explaining what he knows about this guy, okay? He's been chasing him down for a number of years and still doesn't really know what's true and what isn't. So I'm going to read a lot of these captions. So, bed in, get a coffee, because there's a lot to take in here. Before we get into it, I just do want to talk about the art. Jock, like I say, is one of my favorite artists of all time, and he has smashed it out of the park. He's done some very clever, interesting panel layouts. So they have taken a lot of considered time and care in how they presented this story, because they know the stakes are high here, right? Not only is it Joker, there's 300,000 potential eyes on it. But anyway, let's kick off. He says, Bruce, I've been chasing this man for 3 years, and I'm still not certain what's real and what's fabrication. Some things add up, and some things make no bloody sense at all. Like his islands, he owns hundreds of these tiny islands all over the world, from the Arctic Ocean to the Tasman Sea, uninhabited, impossible to develop. Wild, useless places, but he spends billions on them, travels to one or another a few times a year alone. Now, Bruce asks why. As you can see here, he's absolutely loaded up with weapons. This is Absolute Joker in his human form. He said, that's my point. No one knows. Satellites show nothing on them. The theory is he likes to hunt. But he's a mystery, Bruce. The man in white who doesn't laugh on and on. Now, Bruce says, listen, forget what's true, Pennyworth. Tell me what you believe. And here we go. We get this beautiful double page spread here. Very much like, crazy serial killer detective with all these little red strings going everywhere. It really does look cool. It's so good. Now, we get these flashback scenes, okay, as we go through the history of this guy, this Joker, this Joseph Grimm, which is his real name. It says it starts here with one of the first films ever recorded, maybe the actual first, 1888, same year as the Prince's The Round Hay Garden scene. His great-grandfather, Joseph Grimm the First. He says the story is he grew up an orphan on the streets of Gotham and made his living as a street performer. They say he was good. Best around says you could hear the laughter for blocks and blocks, though he himself never so much as chuckled. His reputation grew. He brought his clown act to vaudeville, took the money from that and invested in his own theatre. Just kidding, JK. He said, yes, from there, he invested in silent pictures, funded some big ones. Competition was fierce, but Jack always prevailed, according to those around him, making people laugh loudest. By 40, he had made a fortune and become a member of Gotham's finest men's clubs. Now, it said we go through all these big names of the time, that he was involved with, because this guy's been building his fortune over the decades. He is a billionaire, or probably, you know, a trillionaire at this point in real time. But he says he was never one for the spotlight himself. There are almost no photos of him, no interviews, barely any records at all. In fact, he exists mostly in the shows he produced and the charity. So this is where we learn that he was very much a philanthropist. He was putting a ton of money to good causes, mainly building Gotham up in the beginning, and especially to children's causes, you know. I mean, it made sense. He himself was an orphan, you know, left to fend for himself. So why not help the young children just like him, give them a chance? So this whole thing is shaping up to show that basically he's like the Waynes. In fact, he kind of is the absolute version of the Waynes, you know, these billionaires that help build the city they live in, absolute endless wealth, all the good causes, you know. So we're doing that flip side, which Scott Snyder kind of gave away a little while ago. He wanted to say that they were flipping it, you know, like Batman had the mansion, the money, everything, right? And the Joker was just this person who did what he did. Now they've switched that. Okay, now the Joker has all the money, the mansions, everything else, and Bruce is essentially who the Joker was, in a sense, in the sort of normal storytelling that we read. You know, he's just an average guy, you know, blue collar engineer, just doing what he can with what he's got. So what it does say is Jack died in 1938, according to records, and is buried in a family crypt here in the city. Now, Jack's legacy lived on in his son, Jack Jr., who had taken over the family business in the 90s, 20s and expanded it. Like his father, Jack Grimm II, invested in entertainment that would bring laughter to the world. Everything they do is about bringing laughter and making people happy. Eventually become one of the early financiers of television. He created a bunch of subsidiaries of JK, all named after famous clowns and jesters. Fox, probably a little nod to Fox in the real world. Pyro, Caesar, Hop Frog were the other ones. And like his father, he stayed committed to philanthropic pursuits, especially those for children. He opened homes for orphans across the country. By the 1960s, Junior's son, Jack Grimm III, was the central figure of JK, and he started one of the first cable network companies, and one of the founders of and funders of public broadcasting. Then he moved into computer games, expanded the philanthropy across the globe, which finally brings us to our Jack Grimm V, young, smart, and by far the most successful. So, as you can see, through the years, they've been investing in media, cutting-edge technology, always on the forefront of what's happening next. And again, always putting money into saving children in Gotham, countrywide, and eventually the world. So, as he approaches trillionaire status, Jack V has vastly widened JK's charitable initiatives, international literacy programs, peace orgs, medicine, and aid drops to those who know him, lauded and loved. So, what do we think about this guy? He's a nice guy, right? So where is the smoking gun? Bruce asks. He says, what is going on? So before that happens, we go back to Jack Grimm here, okay, doing his thing on one of his islands. And he's hunting. He's found this lion, I guess, and he's taken that lion down. You can see his eyes turn red here. Now, Bruce, I'm going to sort of mention something here which niggles me through this book. Bruce is a bit of an insufferable little prick throughout this. He's always these sort of like arrogant sort of, well, what? You know, just get to the point. Just hurry up, Alfred. What do you think? It's this weird sort of tone to him, and it really annoys me. I know he wants the information. You know, he's not bothered with all the sort of superfluous information. He just wants to get to the point. You know, he's got another villain to take down. But it just feels really jarring whenever he sort of cuts Alfred up. So just tell me what I want to know. You know what I mean? I didn't ask you for this story, Pennyworth. I asked what you believed. He's just a bit insufferable. That's been the whole way through this entire book. It's one of the things that bugs me a little bit. There's not much likable about Bruce. And you're going to come back and say, yeah, well, you know, look at all the stuff that's happened to him. You wouldn't be smiling all this. I know that, but still, you know, they've been building trust between him and Pennyworth, right? Why is he still such an arrogant prick towards him? It just annoys me. Anyway. He says, listen, tell me what you believe. Tell me what you believe. What is your version of the events? And he says, okay, kid, but for that, we need to go back to the start. So we go back to this double-page spread, which, if you remember, is the double page spread we saw earlier on. And this is all very positive, smiling faces, happy people, the little pretty clown on the poster, the children being saved in their orphanages. And then we get this sort of direct opposite of it. We see these faces that were laughing now, very Jokerized. We see him looking a little bit more evil. We see the Nazi flags, and the children are obviously not being treated very well. So let's find out what it says here. It says, back to the boy in the alley, back to the clown. So, see, young Jack Grimm often performed outside a dentist's office. In the 1800s, they only just introduced nitrous oxide to dentistry, laughing gas, and Jack would sneak in, leak the gas into the alley, make them laugh, sure, but also make them suggestible, as nitrous does, so they'd give him all their money. The act was a trick, a sleight of hand, no different from when Jack Sr. funded his own rivals in vaudeville and in film, playing one side against the other. We find out that that's what they've done throughout history. They funded both sides of everything in entertainment, in war. You can see that they helped and funded the Allies. They helped and funded the Nazis. They plowed money into these sort of opposing sides, but made money from all of them, and also got them to fight against each other as well. He is pitting both sides against each other. So he's always, hedging his bets. It says, for a century and a half, these men have invested in one endeavour and its counter. It extends beyond entertainment to all aspects of life. They even funded our war effort and theirs. Through subsidiaries, all their clown name companies, the Grimms fund right-leaning news networks and left-leaning ones. They fund the aid and the warlords who steal it. Peace and war, the crimes and the prison, and Arc M. They might be the most powerful crime family in history, playing everyone against each other, profiting off the chaos they sow, loyal to no country, no principle, nothing but power. And Bruce says, but why? How much is enough? And Pennyworth says, I always come back to that motto, live life like a clown. A clown plays the fool while making a fool of everyone else. He's a mastermind, the schemer. All the gold in the world isn't enough. Nothing's enough. And then we go back to this island where the Joker here, he's come out onto the beach, and we find this guy here who's sort of like been stuck there for 30 years, apparently. You can see that he's like, I don't know, he's not looking good. But has he come to save him? No, that's the reason he's really here, because he hunts people on his islands too, just to show you how terrible a person is. And off he runs, but running isn't going to save him. Now, there's more to this story. There is more to this story. So Brucey says, I don't care what you reported, Pennyworth. What do you fucking believe? He goes, kid. And Bruce goes, tell me. He goes, all right, Bruce, but it might sound a little crazy. So we've heard what's been reported. We've heard what, Pennyworth thinks is the story, but now we really get down into the gritty details. It says, we go back to that alley one more time to the clown, because what I found when I dug deeper was that many of the people laughing in that film died soon after it was shot, twisted in pain, grinning, a kind of strychnine poisoning, one of the few toxins that can be absorbed through the skin, like maybe upon shaking the gloved hand of a small boy. But lots of people who encountered the Grimms over the years came to mysterious bad ends, jumping off bridges, boats, vanishing. Business rivals, politicians, reporters. In the 90s, an associate of mine at the FBI, Harvey Harris, began an investigation, died in a boat accident. And guess who this guy that's being hunted on this beach here? Well, that is that FBI guy. So basically it's saying anyone who gets in their way just disappears, vanishes. No matter what it is about, they are gone. Now, the interesting to note here, these kids are playing next to canisters of Zyklon, which is one of the terrible pesticides that the Nazis used in World War II to kill millions of Jews. So if you hadn't noticed that, that's what that is, that green gunk in there. So he continues because Bruce says, what are you saying, Pennyworth? He says, I'm saying there's a darker project, Bruce. I have records of grim investments in some of the deadliest inventions of the last 100 years, from the bomb to bioweapons of viruses. There are records of them laughing, Bruce, the grim men at the tests only then. And you see them I guess, the atom bomb test there, and they're laughing. So they've also been investing in weapons. So all the good they've been doing just as much bad as well. So as we can see, this FBI agent stranded on this island by the Joker. He's running out of time as absolute Joker just shoots him down and obviously going to kill him. But then we find out about the babies. You've noticed the babies that have been sort of shown throughout this book and connecting it to the Joker. Well, let's find out what they are all about. So Bruce says, what are you getting at? Say it. What if those islands are where he puts them, his enemies? What if he just leaves them there for years until he feels like God? He goes, I sound mad. He goes, keep going. What do you believe? He says, I believe he uses the children, Bruce. At first, he used the ones in the orphanage, and now he uses something else. And I guess that looks like one of the sort of tanks from Arc M. Maybe there are manufacturing babies. I don't know. He has found some way, I don't know, using their cells, using the research done at his arcs, some terrible elixir. Go on, Pennyworth. Who is he? The clown, Bruce. What is a clown? Its whole act is a cruel mockery of us, of humanity, as bumbling stupid. The clown hates us. You find stories in myth, legends from ancient times to now. Pagliacci, the jester who burns the kingdom in Bal de Savage, the one who convinces us to kill each other, even as he himself preys on us. The clown is death. The clown is. He's like, stop dancing around it. Say it, damn it. What do you believe? I believe there is no Grimm family. He says, I believe there is no Jack the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. There's only ever been one Jack Grimm, him. So this is where he reveals that maybe through science or magic or something worse, that there's only ever been one Jack Grimm. And through the years, he's been using this elixir or whatever it is that he's been manufacturing or taking from babies to keep himself young. And every time it gets a little bit suspicious, he's kind of reborn as an ancestor of Jack Grimm, which explains how he's been here this long. Now, back on the island, we can see the big reveal, the one that we all saw coming anyway, as the Joker, it sort of changes from his human form quite gruesomely into this grotesque monster and just absolutely probably murders the hell out of that poor stranded FBI agent. There's that huge double praise spread. I mean, Jock really knows how to draw monsters. It looks damn cool. It really does look damn cool, even if it's not my favorite version of the Joker. God damn it, Jock's done a great job here. Look at it. So there we go. And then the story ends here, where old Batman here says, I've heard enough. And Pennyworth's like, Bruce. He goes, no, I need to check on Waylon. I understand. Be careful out there, kid. Anyway, I don't think old Pennyworth's too happy with himself. He says, nicely done, old fool. He didn't sign up for this. Sure, he wanted to fight, to punch back, to scream, but this, it's just the last year. The world has cracked itself open and revealed its true face to him. All its monsters everywhere he looks. The other night I found him watching a story about a woman in Gateway City who claims to be magic, some kind of god warrior from hell, obviously Wonder Woman. To his credit, he just keeps on, he pushes forward, but did you really tell him about Grimm for his own sake? No. You told him because you couldn't live with it anymore, because deep down, you're a coward. Just yesterday, a report put Grimm on one of his fucking islands off the coast of Colombia, but you couldn't let it alone, even with Grimm 3,000 miles away from Gotham. So it looks like Bruce is kind of being used here a little bit as well. Pennyworth really wants this guy to go down. Pennyworth doesn't think he can do it, so he's hoping that Bruce can, and he feels probably a bit guilty about it, but Bruce is going to take him on anyway, right? And here's where we get this sort of clever little reveal, which has been hinted at and kind of spoiled a little while back when it was given away. Well, we see the Joker himself back in Gotham, I take it, returning to the manor, with his very Alfred-like butler there, ask him if he's hungry. He said, no, I ate. A little joke because he ate that dude. He ate that FBI agent. And then we get the clock, which, if you don't know, is a huge throwback to Batman. A huge throwback to Batman as he turns the clock to 10:47 or 10:48, depending on the law that you follow, which was the time when Bruce's parents died, and he goes into his cave. So there we go. Okay, it is a complete flip. It is a complete flip here. So the Joker has everything that Bruce would have had. And Bruce, like I say, is in the same position as maybe the Joker would have been in the normal storytelling that we get in the mainline books. And that's it. Now, I did read a lot of it. I'm really, really sorry, but I had to read it all because there was a lot to take in there. And you know what? It's kind of interesting. Now, this is where I'm going to be a little bit controversial. I am going to be a little bit controversial. You should know me by now. Did I think it was absolutely mind-blowingly amazing and lived up to the hype? Not really. I found most of it kind of predictable. I found most of it kind of stuff we kind of already knew. It went in a direction which I completely expected, and the reveal itself wasn't much of a reveal because we'd already seen this grotesque version of the Joker. Now, was it well written? Absolutely. Does it fit in with the absolute Batman stories? Absolutely too. But it was a good story. Just a good story. Now, reading online, people are hailing this book as like, I don't know, one of the greatest stories ever written. And I really get confused by it. I really do, because to me, it was just okay. It was a good issue of Absolute Batman, but it wasn't any more than that. It was just a lot of hype. Now, one of my favorite films of all time, probably my favorite film of all time, is The Shining, okay? And my partner had never seen this film, so I was hyping her up for a very long time when we first met about watching The Shining. So she went into it expecting something, you know, she's a little bit younger than me, completely mind-blowing. You know, and she didn't get that because the hype had drowned out just how amazing the film was to her. Now, she's watched it a few times since, and she appreciates and understands how incredible that film is. And I think this is what happened maybe with me with this book, is that there was all this hype. We were going to get something incredible, and it was just a little bit predictable. There were some clever moments in it, some clever paneling for sure, some beautiful art, but it wasn't really that gut punch I was expecting. That holy shit, when I put the book down, like, I've got to read that again. It was just good. It was just good. And that's it. I don't really have anything negative to say about the book other than the fact that I find Bruce a little bit grating. I wish he had a little bit more of a personality rather than this sort of single-minded, overly focused, you know, oh, I can't be happy, can't smile about anything chap. But other than that, it was a good comic book, you know? And if you put it up there on the racks with a lot of other stuff that's coming out now, it would definitely shine. But there we go. I'm not going to go on too much about it. I think I've taken enough of your time already. But I am very interested to hear what you guys think about it. Again, let me reiterate, it's not a bad book at all. It's a very good comic book. But for me, it didn't live up to the hype. I wanted something a little bit more revealing. I kind of expected a bit more Joker or something a little bit new. I think that's what it is, something a little bit newer, but we didn't get that. We didn't get that. So it really didn't. I really wanted to love it. I really did. Anyway, going off base again. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like the video if you can, and please do hit subscribe. I'd really appreciate it.